name is Vic. This is my podcast. Welcome to episode 18 of Vicsplaining. It's great to see you all again. I'm late. I know I'm late, but my word, what a time it has been. What a time it has been. It's so great to see you guys again. I have so much to tell you guys. I have a big smile on my face, but it's not all positive, I gotta be honest. Yeah, so let me start with where we've been, what's been going on. I went back to my hometown recently since the last episode came out. I actually spoke at the South Carolina State House um on this time just about 2 weeks ago. October 1st, I spoke at the South Carolina State House in opposition to proposed Senate Bill 323. And if you are not aware of the statute, basically it is a law that would make abortion completely illegal in the state of South Carolina. So no more 6 weeks ban, no more, as long as you're doing it within this limit, it would be a full-on ban. Not only would it be a full-on ban, people who go to get this procedure would be charged with homicide, and people who aid people in getting the procedures, such as myself, using my platform to let people know that they do have options, helping somebody cover an expense related to the procedure, anything like that, that can be penalized as well with imprisonment. So that's fucking nuts. And so I just went there I was invited by a local abortion fund to speak because I already wanted to speak at the State House to give oral arguments to the um, three goobers that proposed the bill in the first place, but I was invited by an abortion fund, a local abortion fund in the area, to actually come and talk about it to a pro-choice rally. So that was pretty cool. Um, it made me feel really good after it happened. I'm not gonna lie to you. I was very nervous heading in, but I think that I had a unique I possess a unique experience when it comes to talking about this because a lot of people in the abortion landscape, both in South Carolina and just funds that assist with South Carolina, even if they're not physically located in the state, um, a lot of those people are not from the state of South Carolina. So being from there, being from where the state house is also, one, I already have home, like what is it, home territory advantage or whatever. Um I sound so stupid. I'm trying to do a sports metaphor and I don't know why I don't watch sports. Home field, I think that's it, home field advantage, whatever. I know where the state house is the point. But not only that, I lived in Colombia for 20 years when abortion was legal up to 24 weeks. Like, it's not, they're trying to make it seem like the South is this like horrible place for human rights. And oh my gosh, how could anyone live down there? And it's just not true. Most of the trans people that live in this country and most of the Black people that live in this country live in the US South. So to make it seem like we're all just backwards hillbillies that don't know what's going on and everyone, just like I just never understood that. So even though I am here in Atlanta and I call Atlanta home now, I do feel indebted to my home state. So I traveled back and it was great. I had a really good time. Um yeah, and while I was there, I also did some back and forth wedding planning. Oh my gosh, it is getting so real. We're a year out now because we're getting married in October of 2026, and it is getting really real now. Like, money's being put down, deposits are being taken out, like credit card charges are sticking, like it's getting really serious and it's kind of fucking me up. I'm on the lookout for my wedding attire. Um as you can probably gather by my demeanor and the way that I carry myself, I'm not wearing a dress. The suit that I want to wear is very specific and I can't find it anywhere. I've been contacting retailers back and forth, all these different designers trying to find the specific one that I want, and I cannot find it anywhere. And it's getting a little upsetting, but I think we're going to be able to pull it through because we started planning way, way, way in advance. And I did that with this stress in mind. If I am already this stressed a year out, could you imagine if it was like next week or in 3 days? So the only thing that's like actually stressful is the decision that we made to have the wedding in our home state rather than here in Atlanta, because going back and forth, that ain't cheap. It's not cheap. It's not fun. Um, it's a little fun, ooh, the colors, ooh, the food, but like it's not fun having to get on the road and go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth and stop at the gas station and put maintenance on the car and all this kind. It's just it is a real pain. But forever the optimist, I really do feel like things are going to pan out well. Um, what else is occurring as of late? Oh, the government shutdown. In other news, it's another day that ends with Y. Like this government, this administration is so ass, bro. Like everybody, I've seen so many influencers, like non-political influencers speak out about how uniquely terrible things are right now. And there's so many people who cope in the comments that'll say like, "Oh, you haven't had anything to say for the last few years when Biden was in power or before Trump's term when Obama was in power." Yeah, things sucked then too. All of these things that we complain about, all of the isms, fascism, Zionism, all of those existed during those times too. And as somebody like being a listener of Vicsplaining, that I call out the Democrats just as much as I call out the Republicans. All of that being said, no, it's not. It is so much worse right now. Like it's so, so much worse. It has never been like, because it's not just the laws that are being passed. It's not just the things that they're doing that we see. It's the rhetoric, the stuff that's been hyped up behind the scenes. Like I said a few minutes ago, South Carolina used to allow abortion up to 24 weeks at the point of perceived viability. And now people think that you're radical if you're in South Carolina asking for abortion at all. They're acting as if we're supposed to be a state like, I mean, abortion used to be legal everywhere, but like now it's all these trigger laws are going in ever since the Dobbs decision. All these trigger laws happened, and then certain states decided, okay, we're going to completely ban abortion. Certain states decided we're going to allow abortion until these many weeks. South Carolina has never been like that. But the rhetoric that's existing around this presidency and his cabinet is making everything worse. It's making everybody loony, okay? Now I am the woke police. I am the woker. I am the friend that's too woke. I have never shied away from that labeling or acted as if that was an insult. But the shit that we're talking about now that people consider to be woke is not. It's not even somewhat progressive. It's literally the status quo. People being like, oh my gosh, like you want abortion until this time? That's so woke. That has been the law of the land for the longest time. Sorry. Oh my gosh, like lesbians in like a main role in a movie, black people flying planes. These are things that were already happening. You are being convinced by propagandists that this is strange or weird or different when this is how things have been going for many, many years now. I just like, and I understand that a lot of white conservatives, not even white conservatives, just white people in general, live very insular lives where like they see the people that they see and then that's it. I knew of this person when I was an undergrad that straight up told me that before they came to my undergraduate college, and mind you, I went to a PWI. Well, obviously, if this person's white. But anyway, prior to coming to our PWI, they had never interacted with black people before. They've never seen black people in person because the area that they lived in the United States was so isolated, so insular that they just never ever saw a black person. Ergo, they never had to consider black experience, black perspectives on pretty much anything. And that was scary to be around that person. I'm not going to lie to you. It's scary to be around any person that is so sheltered that they essentially live, even if they don't physically live in a ethno state, they have such isolation of thought that other thoughts getting in are gonna it's gonna take a lot. You know what I mean? That's a very scary thing for me. Someone that has always grown up in integrated company, someone who has always been able to code switch between, okay, my black ass family and these white people at this position of power, speaking with them, trying to get something that I want, whether it's funding, whether it's a job, whether it's a recommendation letter or something like that. Like, I've always known how to switch that on and off. And being around people that can't adjust, as somebody who's always been in mixed company, is very, very scary to me. So for those people who grew up only seeing white faces and maybe getting the same thoughts thrown at them over and over again, I'm sure that things that I am saying seem woke and out there and very strange and, oh my gosh, this is so radical, but they're just not. I'm not even sharing my most radical thoughts with you, the podcast listener, or with this hypothetical person that I'm talking to. It's just very scary to see the things that people think are woke. Like, bro, we were talking about they them pronouns in 2015, and the way that we are already circling back to the same conversations again 10 years later. Oh my god, we're stuck in a time suck. We're stuck in the most boring loop possible. So anyway, that was my time. I was the woker. Why so queerious? Spreading my woke all over the southeast. um and yeah, maybe I'll put a clip here of a little bit of what I was talking about. It is insulting to the autonomy of the people of South Carolina that bills like this one are pushed across legislators' desks where there are much more dire matters that need to be addressed. Abortion is health care, and access to this procedure, as well as information on how to get the procedure, should not be determined on your birthplace or your home zip code. You should not be expected to travel across state lines for medical care such as this. But it wasn't that big of a deal. What I really am proud of is the amount of South Carolinians that turned out for opposition to the bill. And I'm hoping and praying it doesn't go through, because it's just they don't give a shit about people's health care. They don't give a shit about like what's most medically sound. They just want control. And we don't have to comply with that control. They keep telling you, oh, just comply, just comply. You don't have to. So don't. Thank you. I'm actually, okay. I feel kind of fucked up being excited to talk about this topic. I can't even hide the glee on my face. This is so bad. This is so bad. Um, if you are one of my Swifty friends, I do ask that you either stop listening to this episode, skip to the next portion, or just bear with me, okay? Cuz this is my victory lap, okay? I don't like Taylor Swift. I have never liked Taylor Swift. That's not true. I just lied. Okay. I liked Taylor Swift when she was a country music artist. The reason being, and this is embarrassing to admit out loud, I had a crush on a boy. Yeah, barf sounds. I had a crush on a boy in elementary school that loved country music. And so I started listening to country music to have something to talk to him about. And I actually really liked it. So for a while, I started listening to a lot of country music. And at the time I was listening to it, Taylor Swift was on the up and up. She was heading up there. Mind you, she's from Pennsylvania, but she had a very exaggerated, obviously fake Southern accent to relate to Southern Americans, which I At the time when you're a kid, you don't clock that. There's still songs that she has from way back when that I am still like, wow, her mind. One of those songs is 15. That is the song that immediately comes to my head. That song that's like, when you're 15 and somebody tells you they love you, you're gonna, because you will. When you're 15 and someone tells you that they love you, you're gonna believe them. Because what else do you have to believe, bro? When I tell you that bitch was talking to me when she sang that song, I love that song. But as I grew older and went into middle and high school, my music taste shifted. Now, I'm one of those people that's like, I will listen to anything. Not one of those people that's like, I'll listen to anything but country and rap. I love country and I love rap music. I truly was listening to any and everything in middle and high school, primarily metal music, alternative, and dubstep. I love dubstep to this day. To this day. That new Skrillex album from the I'm not even going to get into it cuz I'll talk about it forever, but that new Skrillex album from April of this year is so good. It feels so 2012. But anyway, so I was really into dubstep, electronic music, stuff like that, and there were all of these dubstep mixes of Taylor Swift songs because that's when she was in her red era and she was doing what the fuck is it called? The main one that was remixed all the time was I Knew You Were Trouble. And if anybody was raised on the internet, you will remember that video where they replaced her going, "Oh," in the song with the goat screaming. That and like combined with early 2010s dubstep. Oh my god, I couldn't escape that song. That and 1985 is kind of where I fell the fuck off. Was not interested anymore. But that being said, even though I haven't listened to Taylor Swift intentionally for albums, like for full eras, I've missed all of this context. I learned recently with a lot of the backlash that Taylor Swift is getting lately that I actually know a lot more about Taylor Swift than my partner who is chronically offline. So there are certain things that I would say to him and I'd be like, everyone knows that about Taylor Swift. He'd be like, not me. I've never heard anything about that. And I truly do envy his ignorance, but like I'm more plugged in than I lead on about Taylor Swift. Now, did I stop listening to Taylor Swift because the music quality dropped? No, but that did help. It was very, very easy. I was there for Taylor Swift for a lot. Okay, the other thing? Sorry, I keep interrupting myself. But the other thing is, remember back when Taylor Swift decided to take all of her music off of Spotify? I don't even actually remember why she did that, but she did it. And when she did, it was like a really big deal when she came back to Spotify. At the time, me and my brother we both had Spotify Premium, and you can download songs to your devices. Um, like through that. And I remember I went onto his Spotify and he had every Taylor Swift song downloaded from like her older era, like primarily the country era. And she was just like, I love Taylor Swift. And he wouldn't turn his Spotify on to like sync with the internet because he was going to lose all those songs because Taylor Swift took all her shit off. She eventually put it back, but like at the time when we were big Spotify fans, that was like a gut punch. But anyway, that's a side story. So it wasn't necessarily the music quality that made me ditch Taylor Swift or feel any type of parasocial resentment towards her. No, 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 dear friend. What made me feel resentment towards Taylor Swift, and this is another embarrassing thing that I'm going to admit openly, and I believe that only two people in the world, there's a couple people that know some of the story, but there are only two people in the world that genuinely know the full extent of this story. I guess three if you count my partner, but he knows everything about me. The first one being my best friend because he was there to witness it. And the second one being my Swiftie friend, she's a nurse, who I told after she was telling me how interested she was in Taylor Swift, I divulged this story to her to let her know why I just am not a Taylor Swift fan. When I was in high school going into college, I was in a long-term relationship with my ex. This is my ex from high school that I was with for 5 years. And when we physically separated from each other, I moved to Atlanta. He stayed in our hometown. We were doing long distance for a bit. And when I came back to his dorm room in South Carolina, he had no pictures of me in this dorm room. And that's a big red flag if you're doing a long distance relationship, because it's like, if you bring someone into your dorm room, whether you're trying to just make out with them or hook up, and you don't see any pictures of any semblance that this person's in a relationship, what are you going to assume? Meanwhile, I had pictures of us everywhere in my dorm room in Atlanta. I think, okay, this might sound corny. Maybe I sound corny. I don't care. Um, in my freshman dorm, I had pictures of us everywhere, kind of like how Homer Simpson had the whole do it for her thing, over the don't forget you're here forever sign. Like, you need a consistent reminder of what you're doing this for. I went to Atlanta for better economic opportunities and an education. Eventually, we're going to get back to right where we started. So I have pictures of you around the room, but you don't have one picture of me. But you know whose picture he had on the wall? Taylor Allison Swift. It was from then, right there, I didn't like that bitch. I really didn't. Because that, first off, I hear you. You're probably like, Vic, maybe you were just with a weirdo. And I was, okay? I literally, if I sat here and I told you guys about every single one of my exes, this podcast would be 3 hours long, first off. And secondly, you would be mouth agape the entire time. I'm not disputing the fact that this person probably wasn't the person for me. I mean, obviously, we're not together anymore. But beyond that, I just resented her so deeply. The whole America's sweetheart um kind of persona pissed me the fuck off. How can you hate her? She's Taylor Swift. Like this. Oh my god. Ha! I don't like her. I don't like her. I don't like the way that my partner acted when talking about her or talking about her songs. It gave cult. And this is before the Easter eggs. This is before Lover. This is before Evermore, Folklore, Liquor Store, Canker Sore. I don't fucking know. This was before all of the ripping Lana Del Rey shit and becoming Tumblr's indie darling. This was just when she was doing that red lip shit and the, very 2012, the mustache. I don't know about you, 22, like, and already it's giving cult. I was like, yeah, I don't like that bitch. I don't care. I do not care. So that's my very personal parasocial reason that I've never fucked with Taylor Swift. Beyond that, I don't like how comfortable Swifties get when they talk about Beyonce. I really, really, really hate it. You know why? There is no difference. There's no similarities, sorry, between Taylor Swift and Beyonce Giselle Knowles Carter, other than the fact that they are both billionaires. There's nothing. I'm sorry. And you can criticize that horse lady for being a billionaire all you want. You'll hear it from me too. But you will never hear me saying this bitch isn't talented. You won't hear me saying this bitch doesn't have a 3-decade career deeply, deeply steeped in Black culture that has carried her across cultural contexts. You will never hear me saying no shit like that. I don't understand when when we start having these conversations about the biggest pop star or the most influential or anything, and people start fixing their lips to say Taylor Swift, I get very deeply offended, because what I hear when you say those things, I don't know any Black people. I don't know one Black person, or the Black person that I do know was raised in the suburbs, doesn't have any Black friends, and has no Black cultural, like, comprehension. Taylor Swift is not aspirational to the average Black person. I'm sure you can find a Black person. Oh my gosh, I can't speak. Please hold. My mistake. I'm sure you can find an individual Black person or even Black people that find Taylor Swift aspirational. but like wide scale, she doesn't have that cultural appeal. And that's just a fact of the matter. When people were saying last year, oh, I don't even know a person that listened to Cowboy Carter, that's literally you admitting I don't know any black people, because black people prop up Beyonce's career. If Beyonce, for whatever reason, ever lost black people en masse, I don't mean the really, really far left black people that don't listen to her, are not interested in her on principle due to the fact that she is a billionaire. I'm not talking about those people. I'm talking about en masse, the average black person, like the target demographic. Primarily black middle class women that have the money to drop thousands and thousands of dollars on Beyonce merch every year. If Beyonce ever lost that, then we can start having conversations. But Taylor Swift does not have universal appeal, no matter how hard she tries. Taylor Swift, the word Taylor Swift, people keep calling her the biggest pop star in the world. She's not. She's not. She's not. I don't know where you guys got this information from. When someone says, oh, there's a 3-person friend group and one person leaves the friend group, they don't call them the Taylor Swift of the friend group. They call them the Beyonce. I get it. It's not a one-to-one analogy, but Taylor Swift does not have that cultural significance and appeal in the way that Beyonce does. So I don't like those comparisons. Second of all, I would argue that Taylor Swift just doesn't have that cultural appeal in comparison to other people that are supposedly her peers either. I don't see her as that culturally relevant. I keep up with her because I'm interested in pop culture and she is always there, but I don't understand this kind of like, I really think it's racial brainwashing. I'm not going to lie to you. It's kind of like when you here's an example. Today is the 14th. Legendary R&B artist D'Angelo just died of cancer. Rest in peace. That is so horrible. He was only 51 years old. If I talk to the average white person, white American person about D'Angelo, a lot of them have no idea who he is. And that's because our culture is so deeply segregated, especially when it comes to media consumption. So, music, movies, books, things that are significant in that way. A lot of white people do not have to learn anything about Black culture. If I were to ask the average book talk girly, the average white book talk girly, who Eric Jerome Dickey is or was, rest in peace, they can't tell me. Even though those are some of the dirtiest books known to man, they can't tell me because their canon doesn't require them to know anything about Black culture, like extensive amounts of Black culture. However, the inverse is not true. White people pick and choose the people of color that they deem important for the whole canon, not the white canon, the whole canon. We all have to give a shit about these people. And then every individual white person we have to know in order to exist in society, in order to maintain our careers, our jobs, our funding, things like that. We have to keep up with white culture. Whereas Black culture and other cultures are optional. It's very upsetting. Even, using these books back here. And I love all these authors. Let me be clear. I have a book by Susan Stryker here. I have a book by Judith Butler. And I have a book by Michel Foucault. If I didn't know who any of those people were, and I tried to fix my mouth to talk about transgender and non-binary issues in the modern era, I would look like a goddamn fool. Like, that is the canon of gender studies, of feminism. You can't understand these big concepts without hitting those 3 names. But at the same time, nobody is saying, oh, you gotta know Marquis Bey. And yes, I will acknowledge that Marquis Bey is a lot younger or more alive than most of the people that I referred to previously. So maybe they haven't made the cultural impact like these other people have. But it still remains that I'm sure there are white up and coming authors that are talked about in more rooms than Marquis Bay is, because the white canon is seen as the default canon, not only in this country, but in general. So I have seen several people calling Taylor Swift the pop star of our times, the world's biggest pop star. I just don't agree with that at all. Not only do I not ever talk about or think about Taylor Swift, and I'm a big music head, I'm a big, big music fan. I have several vinyls and CDs on the other side of this door. I love music. Regardless of era, I'm very, very big into physical media and I'm big into listening to music all the time. Taylor Swift is not somebody that I am, I busy my mind with. I don't. Okay? Okay, so let's establish that. I think it's very insulting when people try to compare Beyonce or even anybody else of a similar stature to Taylor Swift. The only thing that is similar about the two of them is their wealth and their tax bracket, and the fact that neither of them know you or me from a hole in the ground. So that's not me defending Beyonce like she's my best friend, because we're not friends. I don't know her and she doesn't know me. But what I'm saying, let's keep it a buck. Okay? Taylor Swift is not similar to Beyonce. When we talk about all these little stan wars and people talk about the queen of this, the king of that, the monarch of this, the jester of that, I don't know why you guys keep bringing up Taylor Swift in these conversations. Okay? Now, I'm being kinder to Taylor Swift than I was to Lizzo a few episodes ago, and I will concede to the fact that Taylor Swift does have some classic hits. She has some shit that people, if you play it, you bump it, people know what the fuck is going on. 22, Never Getting Back Together, what else? Shake It Off, 15, like I said. What's the big one? Love Story. Um, is that the she wears short shorts, I wear sneakers? Yeah, yeah, like classics, songs that were harassing the top 40 for many, 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 many years. But when people talk about legends, legendary, all that, I'm like, you just don't know music. You just don't know music. For one, that girl can't sing, and that's okay. A lot of people can't. I'm a Charlie XCX fan. And I don't mean a Brat fan. I've been a Charlie XCX fan since like 2015, okay? She definitely cannot sing either. I'm not seeing her so she can sing. I'm seeing her so she can make a reference to cocaine, dance her little heart out, and make beep boop beep 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 noises. Y'all just got on the Charlie XCX train last year. I've been in this bitch. All right. There are several people that I listen to that don't have musical ability. It's upsetting when you talk about Taylor Swift, though, because she doesn't have musical ability. And then on top of that, she has no stage presence. I will admit that she has more stage presence now than when she first started getting onto the stage. But there's so many other people that captivate an audience. It just so happens. And this is the same issue that Drake has. Drake and Taylor Swift, they, what am I trying to say with this? They are oriented towards the lowest common denominator, the average consumer. And the average consumer is a white woman between the ages of 15 and like 45 that has been through a breakup before. Those are the ears that are listening to Drake music almost always and Taylor Swift music. So you guys talking about album sales, critical acclaim, uh ticket sales does not move me. When people are like, "Well, the numbers don't lie." They don't lie. They're just reifying everything that we already understand and hold true when we talk about late stage capitalism. White women are consumers. They are consuming. I saw this one woman who literally, oh my God, this TikTok infuriated me. And if I find it, I'll put it in here. She literally has every single rendition of Taylor Swift's newest album on vinyl and CD, and admitted that she does not have a record player or a CD player. Why in the world would you purchase any of those things? That makes no sense. First off, as a big physical media fan, I do have both of those things, and I do encourage people to consume their music through physical media. And I'm not even one of those people that's against multiple variants. I do think that the way that Taylor Swift does it specifically is very shady, but I'm not really one of those people that's against variants per se. For example, I just purchased the Clips album, Let God Sort 'Em Out, on vinyl. I pre ordered that album before the album came out. That being said, I pre ordered it the day they announced that the album was coming out. And at that point, they didn't clear the sample for So Be It, arguably one of the best songs on the album. I would say between that and Mike Tyson Blow to the Face are my two favorite songs on the album. Yeah, the production, Pharrell produced his ass off. That is an evil ass man, but he can produce some music. Um and the production, the sample didn't get cleared for So Be It. So the copy of Let God Sort 'Em Out that I have on vinyl does not have So Be It on there, which it hurts my soul so bad. I like the vinyl, I like how it looks, I like the casing, but now that the album has come out, they have a new aesthetic. The new album is pink. The vinyl is pink. I love pink. You know what I mean? And it has So Be It on it, which I would like. So if I might purchase it again. To be honest with you, that's not a crime. I'm not one of those people at all, but it is upsetting when people feel this obligation like, "Oh my god, I have to buy all this or my fave won't eat." And you buy a bunch of shit that you can't even play. And then even if you had the vinyl to play the record or whatever, you got the same album over and over and over with very little variance. You're going to be listening to the same songs over and over. Why would you do that? I don't know. This whole new culture where millionaires and billionaires take advantage of the pockets of working class Americans to buy and pollute the world with physical media, not because they want to engage with the media like seriously and take it in, but because they want to get the most sales and top the charts and everything. It's so sinister. It's so yucky to me. So anyway, elephant in the room. You know why the fuck I brought up Taylor Swift. Her album sucks. I would argue her music has always sucked. But something about this album in particular is breaking a lot of people's spells that Taylor Swift seems to have had on them. There's so much about this album that is bad that I really just I don't understand why it's this bad this far into the game. With this amount of money, I understand, okay, lowest common denominator, people would have been happy with anything. Taylor Swift is at a level of stardom and a level of cult standmanship that she could do a voice note of her shitting and people would pay happily $34.99 for clips of it. You know? I just don't understand that with that much access and that much money. I understand that Taylor Swift is like Drake, is like Beyonce, in the sense that these words aren't really referencing. I don't know why I said referencing like that. They're not really referencing people anymore as much as they're representing brand names. You know what I mean? So it doesn't really matter what Taylor Swift puts out. But at the same time, as somebody who really does value creativity right now, beyond this podcast, the ways that I go about expressing my creativity are primarily through writing or cooking. With someone that has so much financial access, why would you not just take the time to curate something better? Why did you curate this nonsense? Because there's so much about this album that I hate. And I'm not one to be like dogging on albums. I love it when I am pleasantly surprised with something. That album sucks. And anyone that tells you, "Oh my god, the album was so good," they're either being nice or they just don't have like a music taste that's like tuned in for real. It's not a good album. It's a passable album. It's not a good album. There's several instances of why I don't like it. And this is before the controversy because I'm going to talk about the controversies that have occurred. But one thing I really don't like about the album is the whole motif of the showgirl. people are now arguing, oh, this must have been satire, blah, blah, blah. You are not embodying Showgirl in any of this. It's insulting to the concept. And then it's crazy to me that every time that Taylor Swift decides to bite an aesthetic from somebody else, she goes out of their way to she goes out of her way, excuse me, to either befriend them very openly in front of the cameras or to collaborate with them. And I think that's what she was doing with this album. She was reheating um Sabrina Carpenter's Nachos, and so she didn't get accused of that. She just slapped Sabrina Carpenter on the last song. And Sabrina outsung her. Yeah, that sucks. Like, it's horrible. It's horrible. I don't know why she did that. I really don't know why she did that. It's like this album pisses me off so bad. There's so many things about the album that I don't like. Let me think of some specifics. I hate that song Wood. I hate that song Wood. Again, reheating Sabrina's Nachos. She's trying to do this overt sexual thing, but the Taylor Swift, the brand. I'm not talking about her as an individual person because I don't know her. Taylor Swift, the brand, is not something that is it's kid friendly. The people that go to those shows, yes, there's millennials. That's kind of overpowering the audience right now, but a lot of kids like Taylor Swift. A lot of children are into her kind of vibe. um you can move from America's Sweetheart into, what does Jojo Siwa say? I was a bad girl. Like, you can do that. But you got to do it with care. You can't do it so blatantly and so like boom, here I am. Because here's the other thing. A lot of what Taylor Swift does caters to the right wing of this country, or at the very least, the mile moderate. If that's the case, a lot of them are not into premarital sex, much less singing allegories about your fiance's penis. Why are you doing this? Like, you could have waited until you were married, and then, what can people say? Hey, that's her husband. But it's like you've been singing about premarital sex in such a subtle way your entire career. Why are you singing this song that makes it seem like you are a blushing virgin that just, why am I talking so badly today? Blushing virgin. That is what I meant to say, not version. Thank you. Okay. Why are you acting like a blushing virgin that has never had sex before on this song? His love was the key to open my thighs. This is not me slut shaming at all. I don't give a fuck who you want to have sex with, but you have had sex with other people before. We know this. Hello? So why are we acting as if this is like new and strange? And then on top of that, it's like she's not, like, she's 35, right? Dude, come on. Like, I don't know. I don't know. It's just kind of like annoying. Dude, you were with your ex is the dude that went on a podcast to talk about how he watches black women being violently hurt in order to jack himself off. I know you've had sex before. Okay? And then speaking more to that, there are so many different metaphors and discussions in this album that are so racially charged, and her fans that are like that are groomed into looking at Easter eggs and stuff, they're all acting like they don't see it. Girl, okay. So into the controversies that are occurring. For one, a big one that people are focusing on is the song Opalite, where she says Onyx Knights have now become Opalite. Basically, she entered her fiance's life and everything was dark, scary, black, aggressive. And now it's white and bright and beautiful and also fake because opalite is not a real gem. Basically, the whole idea is that, like, Travis Kelce prior to Taylor Swift, with my knowledge, has never publicly, okay, I might be wrong, but most of the people that he dated prior to Taylor Swift publicly, I know because oh my god, the Tumblr swirlers, the Twitter swirlers, them little BWWM accounts, the ones that fetishize interracial relationships to like a very, very weird degree, they were eating Travis Kelce up, positive. They were like, oh yeah, we're experiencing literal wigger death when we look at Travis Kelce now with Taylor Swift. But anyway, he was dating primarily black women, and she made a reference in that song that was very pointed towards his most recent ex, Kayla Nicole. And now all of a sudden, oh, the skies are bright with opalite. Okay, that's weird. And the white Swifties will be like, no, no, you don't get it. Like, how is she supposed to describe a night? A night is dark, an onyx night. Bitch, y'all are the ones that were looking at Easter eggs. She used to dominate Google. Does she still do that? I don't want to look it up because I don't want to run any unnecessary AI, but like, does she still do that thing where you look up her name and the whole like Google changes and everything? Like, she used to do all these little Easter eggs and like, oh, find this, find that, blah blah blah. And now we're not supposed to look into it that deep. I think you're wrong. I think it's racist. I do. I do. And if that wasn't enough, yes, she references lightning in that song, but she puts out a necklace to go along with the song that has lightning bolts on it, okay? Now, if you need a history lesson, the SS, as in the Nazis, one of their symbols is two concurrent lightning bolts, right? And some people on the internet now will use two lightning bolt emojis to signal that they align with white supremacists. Well, this one has lightning bolts on the necklace, the merch that Taylor Swift recently put out. They're all going in the same direction, similar to the people that signal that they are in alignment with the SS. And then there's 8 of them. There's 8 of them on the necklace, bro. Bro, that's fucked up. And if it wasn't enough that there's 8 of these lightning bolts all facing the same way, they go down to this star that has 8 points on it. Okay? 8, 8. If you don't know what I'm talking about, look up 1488 and just read. Maybe you got to put in 1488 dog whistle to figure out what the 14 means and what the 8 means. It's not looking too good. That, like, if it was just that in isolation, I would already be like, ugh. But like, Taylor Swift has had Aryan princess allegations before this. And then on top of that, the Opalite song. And then on top of that, oh, the necklace. Oh, Allison, it's not looking good. It's not looking good. It's looking really bad. I'm going to be honest with you. It looks really bad. And then, if all of that wasn't enough, you got the song Eldest Daughter, which, girl, I can't roll my eyes any harder. This song has a lyric on it that's, but I'm not a bad bitch, and this isn't savage, but I'm never gonna let you down. Girl, fuck you. And these corny ass white millennials are thinking, oh my God, I feel so seen. I've never been a bad bitch. I've never been savage. I've never cared about any of this stuff. Bitch, fuck you, okay? Okay? When we talk about the terms bad bitch and savage, for one, it doesn't matter what rapper you want to evoke in your mind. It doesn't matter, okay? You're thinking of a black woman. Those are the people that have brought that lexicon into the daily conversation. But much more importantly, you're talking about my bitch right here. Oh no. We have a very, very serious problem. You better watch your fucking mouth. You watch your mouth right now. I already didn't like it. And then I found out that before getting with Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce was flirting with Miss Megan P. Oh, you better watch your fucking mouth. You better watch your goddamn mouth, because you don't even know what you're doing. You don't even know what you're doing. I did not like that. I was like, oh no. I'm smiling, but I'm pissed the fuck off. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. You keep your insecurities in a journal. We've lost the art of journaling, and we've lost the art of blogging. Okay, keep that shit in some very obscure, nasty little racist side of the internet where you guys can talk about having flat asses and, not liking the way you look and needing all this male validation and this male attention. Don't you ever fix your lips to even suggest considering thinking about Megan the Stallion ever again. As long as air is entering my lungs. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. You cannot do that. It's not happening. It's not happening. That shit pissed me all the way off. I was like, this album, and then you have the nerve to be sonically bad. I know there's a lot of people that didn't like Megan's last few albums. I think they're losers, but I can respect a difference of, liking this, liking that, blah, 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 blah. There are criticisms that I have towards some of Megan's sounds as well as the cohesion of her albums, but I've never listened to a Megan album and be like, this is actually actively pissing me off. I don't want to hear it. That Taylor Swift album pissed me the fuck off. It sounds horrible. There's a number of throwaways in it, and it doesn't sound good. Plus, on top of it not sounding good, it sounds like every song sounds like something that somebody else did before. But now it's different and new because Taylor Swift has done it. It's not. It still sucks. Ooh, it sucks. It sucks. It sucks. It sucks really bad. It's not good. Okay? Why is it black women's problem? Why is it black women's problem that it took you forever to get to this point where you feel acknowledged and safe in your relationships? That's weird. That's weird, Taylor. I don't know. Oh, you're reaching. Oh, it's not like that. Shut up. Shut up, ho. Like, I don't care. I don't care if I'm reaching for the stars right now, to be honest, because I'm not the only bitch out there that feels this way. So that's a problem. If you didn't mean these things, if that's not what it's supposed to be, Taylor Swift has all the money and all the platform in the world. I know this because she's banned certain searches from Google. She's banned certain searches from Twitter. She's all over Apple Music. I don't have Spotify anymore, but I'm assuming she's all over Spotify. She's taken out all these big ass ads. She's everywhere. She can get the word out if she wants to. And unlike her last terrible album, she's on every Tom, Dick, and Harry's podcast, late night show, fucking bodega talk, like every fucking thing, telling us what she thinks about this album and what she thinks about her man's huge redwood penis. So if she really wanted to clear things up and be like, that's not what I intended, she has every single platform to do so. But she doesn't, because she's okay with the dog whistles. She's okay with that. Because you know what happens? Nazis buy her album, and she likes that money. That's what it is. So, oh, you're reaching. Okay, and she's reaching in your pockets and taking your money. So, who gives a fuck? You don't know Taylor like I know Taylor. Neither of us know her. Why are you defending hypothetical racism? Oh, she didn't mean like that. Then shut up. If you think I'm wrong, what is the harm in me spreading around the rhetoric? She can come out and she can clear it up, but she won't. Sorry. I don't know. I don't know how to help you. So anyways, that eldest daughter song sucked. Opalite sucked. Wood sucked. That song that Sabrina outsung her sucked. What are we doing anymore? What are we doing? And now my feed is doing the same thing it did when Tortured Poet Society. What is it called? Tortured Poets Department. My goodness. When that album came out, my feed is doing the exact same thing that it did then, where it's starting to mistake me as a Swiftie because I'm consuming so much Taylor Swift hate, and I'm trying to chill on it. But as you can see from my tattered history with Miss Swift, this is vindicating to me in a way that you can't even understand. And I do have some sympathy for the Swifties in my life. It has to be very, very difficult to hear and see and witness your fave actively doing things that makes you feel embarrassed to be a fan. I know. God, I know. I mean, well, not recently, but I used to be a Nicki fan. Like I know more than anybody what that looks like. You know what I mean? But you can't just have this dissonance where you're like, oh well, it didn't happen. It's happening right now. Everyone's watching it, and it's not a good album, and that's okay. Your fave will make a bad album. Mine won't, but yours will, and that's okay to acknowledge. So yeah, I'm eating all this criticism up like candy. Like mashed potatoes, bitch. I love it. I really, really do. I'm not gonna lie to you. Um, Also, something that I think is interesting is again, you want to say this stuff about Taylor Swift isn't racist. Taylor Swift doesn't feel this way. Taylor Swift is this, that, and the third. You know, Taylor Swift saved my grandma. Taylor Swift took this cat out of a tree. Taylor Swift licked my ass and fingered my butthole. Okay, what say you about Taylor Swift partnering directly with Target during a consumer boycott from Black people? Oh, she just doesn't know. Like her team, someone knows. So here's your two choices. Either she didn't directly know, but someone on her team knew because she's so cool with Black people, right? That partnering with Target would have been a bad thing. Or she knew and she didn't fucking care. I don't know. Is she the plugged in, Easter egg English teacher, super subtle person that you guys say that she is? Or is she stupid? Because both of the, like, I give her, I try to see her through the lens that everyone tells me to look at her through. And then I do that. And y'all be like, no, not like that. Oh, I think at some point you guys are just defending her for no reason. I got to be honest. Everyone's fave has to take criticism. It is actually going to be okay. And if the worst thing that is occurring in your life right now is criticism about your favorite billionaire, you do not know how blessed you are. There are people that after this like bungled ceasefire that has been declared have to find their loved ones in like the back of what used to be their houses because their houses are completely obliterated now. There are people starving for their lives. There are people being forced to mine cobalt. Like, and you're upset because, oh, people used to be scared to criticize Taylor Swift because we used to dox them and find out where they live and get them fired from their jobs. But now we don't do that anymore because some of the criticism that they have is right. Give me a fucking break. You'll be okay. You will be okay. And then back to bitches who can't sing. That actually romantic song, that's another bitch. That's another bitch that you better not fix your mouth about. Now, me, I have a lot against Charli XCX. I have a lot against Charli XCX. Her beef that she has question mark with Rina Sawayama has never sat right with me. The fact that she sided with Maddie Healy, a known racist, versus Rina Sawayama, an Asian woman who has spoken out about Maddie Healy's disregard for her masters and like all this other kind of stuff. Like, I have a lot against Charli XCX. It's the reason that I don't directly follow her on any platforms anymore because I find a lot of the things that she says and does very insufferable, even before she was considered a mainstream artist. All of that being said, none of that shit is the shit that Taylor Swift was talking about on that song. That song is mean as fuck. When I listened to Brat before my like fifth re-listen, Sympathy is a Knife was my favorite song on that album. It has since shifted to Everything is Romantic because that song is really, really good. But Sympathy is a Knife I really enjoyed because it's so raw and so real. And the people that say it's not about Taylor Swift are very, very dense. Specifically when she says, don't want to see her backstage at my boyfriend's show. Her now husband is George of the 1975. So who's going to be backstage at the 1975 show? Oh, you're dating Maddie Healy? Okay, you're going to be backstage as well. When Charli XCX sees Taylor Swift, or at least when she saw her when Brat was coming out, because a lot of songs that are on Brat were made like years before Brat actually came out. Charlie XCX, despite the fact that she has critical acclaim, despite the fact that she has been on all these like different mainstream songs, she's never had mainstream stardom because she was on Iggy Azalea's Fancy. She also wrote Icona Pop's Love It. Like she's on a lot of songs from your fave. She also makes a lot of music that people don't really think about on a daily basis. Like maybe they'll be like, "Oh, I love that song." She has a song with Sam Smith that is also really good that if I play it, a lot of people will be like, "Oh yeah, I forgot they made this song." Like there's so many poppy songs from the mid 2010s that Charlie XCX was either on, produced, or wrote that are very, very important to that kind of recession pop indie sleaze sound that a lot of people are now coming back around to enjoy. So she's always been around. To have that much influence and movement in the um industry. Oh, vroom vroom. I don't even know how I forgot vroom vroom. But like to have that much movement in the um music industry and not have any of the accolades has to be very difficult. And that's what Sympathy is a Knife was about. It was about the fact that she's been in this industry for so long, but she just does not have the mainstream appeal like people like Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift, white people racism with their hair. First off, Taylor Swift is blonde. But much more importantly, she's like a Barbie doll. Like she is made for mass consumption. She is made for mainstream dick riding in a way that Charlie XCX knows good and well. Or at the time, at least. I do think that now that Brat has reached such popularity. Now, okay, I have my own opinions about that because I don't think a lot of these bitches actually like hyperpop and EDM. I think that they just like following trends. But all that being said, um prior to Brat coming out, because she didn't think that she was going to be like a charting artist the way that she is now, she was just kind of dealing with the self-hatred and the suicidal ideation that came with the idea of I am never going to be a mainstream artist and be as adored and as desired like by the industry as Taylor Swift is. And that hurts. It actively hurts. And I'm not trying to project that onto you because I'm not trying to, you know, project my internal misogyny and project my internal hatred, but it's so difficult to see you. And I know that's something I need to work on. And I'm trying to be a better person. And eventually I would like to be a mother and a wife and like, do all these different things. And maybe I need to give up on being a mainstream pop artist. But God, I hate seeing you at the backstage of my boyfriend's show. That is what Sympathy is a Knife is all about. And Taylor Swift, her homophobic ass, boiled it down to you're in love with me, you're obsessed with me, oh my God, I can't believe you think about me all the time, it's making me wet. That was crazy. Her being like that. I've heard that clip so many times in music reviews on YouTube where it says it's kind of making me wet, and then like immediately there's like a really cacophonous sound, and then Taylor Swift being like, oh, I had no idea until I listened to the actual song that that's in the song. I thought people were editing it to make it funny. Girl, you suck. You suck. That's so narcissistic of you to hear something that is as and people keep saying, "Oh, it's Charlie XCX, it's not that deep." I promise you there are a lot of songs on Brat that are more profound and deeper than you might have think. Plus, Brat washes Taylor Swift's entire discography. That's besides the point, but like it does. People being like, "Oh, it's not that deep. Charlie XCX is just a party girl, party girl." They didn't listen to Brat the way that you need to, because that is what Sympathy is a Knife was about. And you fire back with, you do cocaine, you're so obsessed with me. You think I'm boring? Here's the most boring diss track of all time. She can't even make lesbianism sound sexy when she says those things. It's kind of making me wet. I know gaylers, I know gaylers are having fucking conniptions. Like, this is the most heterosexual song you could have released. All right. That was a really long stretch of me talking, but I hope I hope that gets across how I feel about Taylor Swift and the nonsense as of late.
Shirt change because it's been days since the last clip of this episode. The reason being, I did not, when I went in to talk about Taylor Swift, I did not anticipate having that much to say. I guess I should have expected it because I that lady makes me so angry. Like, y'all know how my parasocial beefs go, but I didn't expect it to be that long since making another episode, and I felt like wearing this shirt. I thought about wearing the bisexual shirt to like give the illusion that this is all one day, but there's been too many how the sausage is made kind of moments on this podcast anyway. So why lie? Anyway, at least you guys can keep me honest. So the other topic that I want to talk about is wearable tech, like Apple Watches, Aura rings, things like that. Because I have an opinion on it that I don't think many would anticipate. And like I do with every other topic that I ever approach, I'm going to try to approach this one with as much nuance as possible. The reason that I wanted to talk about wearable tech is that, people keep saying, oh, we're descending into fascism. Watch how we talk about certain things. We're descending into fascism. We are balls deep in fascism right now. Like, that's just what it is. Um, I hate to admit that, but like the moment that they said, "Yep, we want him again," the moment that everyone read Project 2025 and was like, "Actually, yeah, that's fine." And I'm not saying it to say that like because okay, I've said this on the podcast before, but there were only two viable options for the presidency. We can talk about voting third party, we can talk about abstaining from voting, we can talk about all these other kind of things, but we know the way that democracy, quote unquote, works in the United States. It doesn't. And the way that it works is that either Kamala Harris was going to win or Donald Trump. And I'm not necessarily saying that if Kamala Harris won, we would not we would not be this far into fascism. I kind of am saying that. I'm not gonna lie to you, but what I am saying also is that there are elements of the fascistic government that were already occurring in Obama's administration, in Joe Biden's administration, that are still very deeply concerning. I think the main difference beyond the cruelty of it all, because I mean, there are a lot of elements of the Obama and Biden years that were quite cruel as well, especially if you are more so on the outskirts of society. I just don't think it's ever been in our face like this. Like, I don't think that people with money, and I don't think, I'm not talking about millionaires, billionaires, even people who have like investment portfolios. I'm talking about working class Americans that have enough at the end of their checks to get maybe a daily coffee or go out on the weekends or go on a vacation once a year, which is like the mass, like the grand majority of Americans, right? Middle America type of people. The main difference between the two is that like, are you feeling the fascism or not between the two of them? For my liberals and Democrats that follow me, this is not me saying that Donald Trump and Kamala Harris are the exact same, or that, I don't believe in that. But I also don't believe that it is like accurate to make it seem as if like, oh, like that thing that they said when Hillary lost back in 2016. Oh, if Hillary won, we would all be at brunch right now. Why would you be at brunch? These things still continue to happen. And I understand there are a lot of leftists who are like, I didn't say anything about Obama when Obama was in office because I was 8 years old. That's completely valid. I was like 11. But there were instances that I distinctly remember during his 2 terms that were like really like jarring to me. I remember one specifically, there was a transgender woman that like rushed the stage when he was speaking. If I find the article, I'll put it here. But like there were definitely cracks in the veneer, even when I was a little kid, before I established myself as a socialist, a leftist, whatever you want to call me. Okay. All of that out of the way. The second that I realized that they were going to elect Donald Trump again, and Donald Trump had such an explicit agenda in Project 2025 that had to do with partnering with Palantir and Peter Thiel, I was like, we're so cooked. This is so awful. And so the reason I wanted to bring up wearable tech is because um, there are a lot. I'm trying to get this microphone straight so I don't have to hold it the whole time because I want to show you guys my wearable tech. Um, we'll see. We'll see how this goes. Sorry. Okay. So, like, as you can see, I am wearing an Apple Watch, refurbished, of course, free Congo, duh. But um, it might surprise you based on the fact that I am anti Palantir, anti surveillance state. I am pretty pro wearable tech with a caveat. So, why do I like wearable tech? I think I'm actually going to take mine off right now. I put it on just for the bit, but like it kind of overstimulates me if I'm not directly working out. Like I just don't like the grooves that it puts on my arm. Um, so this is complicated because if we lived in a country that had universal health care and had standards around, like if the FDA was a little more robust and public health wasn't so individualistic, I think I would be more anti wearable tech than I am. But the reason that I'm pro is because I'll give an example. There was a TikTok that I saw of this woman who was using her Aura ring to track her basal body temperature, I think. And she was tracking it and her ring was saying like, hey, you might be getting sick, your temperature has been really weird lately, it hasn't been right. She caught her own cancer diagnosis prior to the doctors catching it, prior to like genuine symptoms manifesting, right? And I think that that's really useful. um Also, again, we live in this country that really doesn't give a shit about not only our well-being but the public health's like consciousness, especially with RFK in office. Like there's so many things regarding public health that are just so fucked up right now. Um, the complete 180 that America has done on vaccines has been very scary to see. And I'm saying this as somebody who was pretty skeptical when the COVID-19 vaccine came out. The primary reason being that they used to offer Pfizer, Moderna, and Johnson and Johnson. And Johnson and Johnson very specifically has lawsuits against it around their baby powder and it causing cancer. And so that was my main concern. I have never been one of those people that's like, oh, vaccines are horrible. Bitch, I'm fully vaccinated for everything. Everything. They could come out with a vaccine tomorrow. I'm in the line yesterday. I'm not one of those people. I don't like needles, but tattoos and vaccines is not a big deal because the outcomes outweigh my fear around needles. So I get over it every time, you know what I mean? But all of that being said, it's just like the 180 that this country has done on vaccines, behaving as if like they just don't work or when it or anything, when it's like we literally had a president that had polio and polio used to cripple communities completely, like we like the survival of this nation is a testament to the efficacy of vaccination. And people will just be like, don't care. I did my own research, and their own research is reading the AI overview on Google. It's pathetic. But, anyways, so because we live in this hyper individualistic society where people are starting to use the rhetoric of the First Amendment and making your own choice and, my freedom, I'm a red-blooded American and I need my freedom, because people are using all of that rhetoric in order to like strong arm their way into, I don't know, the next great epidemic that's going to happen, the next great pandemic. Um, I am actually pro wearable tech because a lot of the tech can pick up on things like in the story about the woman who caught her cancer before she was diagnosed, in a way that like doctors would love to if we lived in a country that made sense and you could go to the doctor and you didn't have to ask, the pre-authorization department at your fucked up insurance company if you could go and see a specialist to do XYZ. Like if we had a functioning healthcare system, I think I would be more so like, oh no, the surveillance state. But it's like we're already a victim to the surveillance state. So it's like if you can utilize that information to make the best health choices for yourself, I'm actually not anti that. Because the reason I brought this up is because with the partnering that Aura Ring, for example, the one that I brought up, Aura Ring is partnering directly with Palantir and Peter Thiel, I don't care. Um, like literally they are directly taking your information and providing it to the federal government. And then as you know, I work in abortion, so that is a big concern when we're talking about period tracking apps, or tracking your pregnancy, tracking your abortion, things like that. When these bills come through that make abortion illegal or restrict abortion access or abortion information access, it becomes really key that our data is kept secure. Because if you're putting into an app, oh, I missed a period, or you're putting into an app, I got an abortion today, or I took an abortion pill today, they could easily just ship it off to the government and then the feds are at your house. So I understand the concern. I just don't think that we live like, it's so complicated because it's like I don't blame anybody who doesn't trust it, but I also think it is inevitable if you engage with the internet in some proxy. So I don't think that you're going to be able to avoid surveillance by just not using wearable tech, because the same technology is present in your phone, in your computer, anything you use to access other people via the internet. And with that being said, at the same time, this is not me saying that it is not smart. Decode that real quick. It is not smart to avoid wearable tech. I think it actually, if you're trying harder to get off the grid, if you're trying harder to be not tracked, it is smart to avoid wearable tech. I just don't think that there is a correct stance on wearable tech for the modern leftist, especially when it's like I've seen people lobbing death threats to sitting government officials on these massive, huge social media platforms. So it's not like, I don't know. I think people pick and choose when it comes to safety and surveillance sometimes. So first reason, well, I guess the second reason is kind of also the first reason, but like my Apple Watch, it was a present from my partner. And I told him when he got it for me, prior to him getting it for me, if you get me this, I am going to use it every day of my life. And when I tell you that has changed my life so much, okay, we do not do fat phobia around here. We do not do sizeism. I'm not doing any of that. What I'm talking about is my personal experience with my watch, okay? And I want to give what is it called, a pretense for that, because I'm not shaming anything. I'm not shaming anyone. What I'm saying is my personal journey. My Apple Watch allowed me to track a lot of things about my body that I have never tracked before, including my weight, but primarily the amount of steps that I'm taking, the amount of hours you have in daylight, which honestly, once I saw that, I was like, holy fuck, I sit in this office way too often. Like that can't be good. You know what I mean? Like I'm breathing the same air over and over and over. It kind of it allowed me to gamify my health. And for my little OCD rat brain, that works so well because seeing progress, seeing, the changes and the stats, that really does something for me. It get like to have a goal and to see it out, it really works. When it does the little charts that say like, oh, you took this many steps, your resting heart rate was lower, all these kind of things, that really helps me. And so when I was doing that, when I started, I literally felt the difference in my body. I live pretty far up in my current residence, and I would always get winded going up the stairs. Now I can like hop up them because I am much more active. Um, I breathe a lot better. I sleep so much better because it's like I'm tiring myself out through the day, getting more active. Um, and it's just like it's allowed me to take, because I think it's so daunting when your doctor says change your diet and exercise more. It's just like, what do I do? I don't know what to do. I don't know what to start with, because it's not normalized in our society, to exercise. A lot of what we do, especially if you are like me and you are a white collar worker, is extremely sedentary. And so even when prior to using my wearable tech, a lot of the stuff that I was doing was very, it wasn't the higher cardio fitness that I needed to be involved in. And it's like that betters your heart health, that betters your breathing, it betters every other thing that you need to be doing. I don't know. I can't tell you guys how much it improved my life. It regulated my cycle, like it's made my skin better. It's made me feel physically better. And it's like a lot of it is the placebo effect because it's like nothing actually changed. The only thing is that you're wearing this item that's like encouraging you and telling you, hey, you went this far today or you did this much or whatever. But I think it's just the psychology of it. It's like I want to get up and go and make the little metal thing on my arm happy, you know? Um, so it's hard for me to just strike out wearable tech because I do genuinely see a value in it, but I do also understand people who are anti it. The other thing is that there was a woman who was murdered, I believe, by her partner. And part of the reason that they were able to, and I mean also, take this story how you will, because some people might hear it and be like, wow, that's a really good, parachute of sorts, and some people might hear it and be like, that's so fucking scary that we are monitored even posthumously. Take this how you will, okay? But her Fitbit, back when Fitbits were a big thing, I don't know if anybody else had a Fitbit, but my mom got me a Fitbit for like Kwanzaa one year, and I used it all the time. I think I got it wet and then I could never use it again. But like, low key, no, I'm not gonna say that. Yes, I am. Low key, that feels kind of like a shady gift now that I look back on it, but it's fine. It's okay. I ended up wearing wearable tech anyway. It became the wave. But anyways, so yeah, her Fitbit was the reason they were able to solve her murder because it had the health data that showed like that her heart rate spiked and then stopped at a certain time and stuff like that. So, I don't know. I think my issue a lot with organizing online and the amorphous left, as we call it, is that so many things people seem to talk about them as if there's like a strict line in the sand. Like, okay, this is obviously the left position. And it's like, it just isn't. We are able to disagree. We're able to have nuance. We're able to have certain discussions where we understand the circumstances that people are coming at it from. Do I think that it should be a requirement when you're looking after your health or being interested in getting more physically fit that you drop hundreds of dollars on an item or keep up with the latest items from these billion-dollar companies? or the fact that, fitness should have any barrier to entry whatsoever. No, I don't think that at all. But at the same time, I do think that before discouraging a behavior or an item or a trend or something completely, we should look into the greater nuance. Um, of course, y'all want to start the revolution tomorrow. I'll throw this bitch out today, you know? But until then, if we're talking about everyday life, the government already knows where to find me. I'm not really concerned about, oh well, you'd be easier to track if you have that because I have a big tracking device in my pocket at all times. I don't know. I don't know. I don't think we should trust it necessarily. And again, there are a lot more ways to be digitally safe, but I don't think we should write off all wearable tech altogether because I do find a lot of benefits. And that's just my opinion. Feel free to share yours. It was muted. I hope this sounds normal. I just realized I can take the microphone anywhere. It's not super. I don't think this will be a solution long term. I definitely need like an extender like I need to just learn how to screw this on or like make it shorter or whatever. But for now, this gives me some flexibility. I really hope it doesn't sound horrible when I'm moving it around because I know it sounds horrible on that thing. But for my final discussion for today, I want to talk about my goat. I have several goats, not animals, greatest of all time, obviously. Ketchup. Okay. My old roommate used to say ketchup mustards. Um, my goat, Mr. Tyler, the creator. Okay. Yesterday, I was just texting my friend, and I've been seeing the Tyler the Creator conversation. Because I love myself, I don't have a Twitter, but everything that happens on Twitter bleeds over into TikTok. So I saw a little bit of the discussion, but I have been ignoring it as I do with most Twitter conversations, especially conversations that come out of Black Twitter, because I think that Black Twitter has a way of like flattening the Black experience into like especially the Black American experience into a very specific hegemonic Blackness that I do not appreciate. So, and it low key made me crazy. I ended up deleting my Twitter in August of 2020 because when I started going to therapy a little before the pandemic, so February of 2020, I started going to therapy for general anxiety and depression. This was prior to my OCD diagnosis. And I started, this is so embarrassing to admit out loud, but I, okay, we'll get back to Tyler the Creator. And I mean, in this conversation, it's probably gonna be very clear why I have the opinion about Tyler the Creator that I do. But I went to therapy and I was telling my therapist all this stuff about um all my anxieties and how I felt really watched and how I feel really surveilled and everything. And one of the things that I brought up was the fact that I felt like a race traitor. I felt like a race traitor, and I felt like I was betraying my queer identity because I I date people of all races, I date people of all genders, but I was only like I've been out as non-binary to people who matter since 2018. But being in lockdown really gave me the time, and I use lockdown very loosely because I was still working even prior to lockdown, because like when I was working in insurance in 2019, these feelings were happening. I thought, okay, yeah, you can call me they them pronouns and stuff, but like I'm still cool with my birth name. And at that job was when I realized actually I never want to hear this name again if I don't have to. But in the midst of lockdown, because people who are considered essential workers, we didn't get a real lockdown. We went to work with a mask on, and then we came home and we did nothing. And the government told us that we weren't allowed to go to our grandmother's funerals, but
all these celebrities can fly off and to the Cayman fucking Islands and have parties or whatever. But anyway, that's a rant for another day. When I was seeing my therapist in 2020, I was telling her how I felt like a race traitor and I felt like I was like betraying my sexuality despite the fact that I'm bisexual. And y'all know people hate when bisexuals behave bisexually. I got the flag and everything up right now. Makeshift curtain because the light was pissing me off and I don't have the money for curtains. But I was because I've always had a vendetta, I think, against against people of all races that aren't Black American, honestly. But I really had a thing against white people. And any of my white exes prior to my fiance will tell you this. I've never been kind to them, even in my relationships, and that's something that I deeply regret. Not necessarily because white people as a whole deserve more, but because individually, like I I don't have any beef with any of my exes, but I don't have any beef with my white exes. And I was telling my therapist how like I felt like an active traitor because I was getting all this messaging from Twitter, Black Twitter, about how it's evil to date white people and white people are the devil and all this kind of stuff, but I don't feel that way towards my partner. And then I was also talking about that, I don't identify as a woman, but I understand that people, when they see me, they consider me a bisexual woman. And if you've been on queer Twitter, you know the way that queer Twitter, LGBTQ Twitter, whatever you want to call it, treats bisexual women specifically. Yes, bisexual men get strays as well, but bisexual women primarily get a lot of the and that's a comment for another day, because I do believe that a lot of the criticism that's against bisexual women, what we call biphobia, is really just repackaged misogyny. It's really, to quote Megan the Stallion, pussy watching. Because why the fuck do you care? I'm sorry. Oh, because I dated a bi girl and she left me for a man. Again, y'all hate it when bisexual people behave bisexually. But anyway, I understand all the arguments. I know all the, oh, this is comp het. It's not comp het. It's literally bisexuality. I know it's very difficult for people to see it as a salient, independent identity because people are uncomfortable with ambiguity, especially when it comes to sexuality, but that is what it is. Anyway, again, topic for another day. I just had a lot of internalized biphobia, and I was just not doing well. And I was saying all this stuff to my therapist, and my therapist was like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" Looked at me like I had four fucking heads. And I was like, oh, okay. Twitter's making me like sick in the head. Got you. And so I deleted it that year, August 2020. I remember it. I was on Twitter at the onset of the pandemic, as well as the day that George Floyd was killed. But that wasn't what did it. What did it was my therapist in real life looking me in the eye and being like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" So, anyways, I avoid Twitter. I've realized that like my brain is too sick for a lot of social platforms, but Twitter is one that I just cannot. I can't hack it. Like it doesn't matter. I think with time I can probably figure out the other platforms that I've also abandoned: Reddit, LinkedIn, what else? Facebook. I don't trust Meta, but I think I can figure those out. Twitter is just something that like my mental illness cannot deal with, and so I avoid Black Twitter. But I saw that Black Twitter was talking about Tyler the Creator, and again, I don't take a lot of conversations that Black Twitter have seriously, because what I've started to recognize is that you have people who have master's degrees, PhDs, 20 years of life experience dealing with these isms, having conversations with literal 14-year-olds. And that perspective has completely shifted the way that I engage with a lot of online activism or online discourse, because I'm like, oh, a lot of you have no idea what the fuck you're talking about. And that's okay. I don't either half the time. But some of you are just using this space to rant or to project, and you're not actually having the nuanced conversations that I am intending. I'll tell one more story and then I'll get back to Tyler the Creator. But there was a conversation going on about Angela Davis one time, and Angela Davis described herself as queer and not a lesbian. And I made a post that said something like, "Oh, I know y'all are mad she used that Q word," because a lot of rad femmes online and a lot of exclusionists hate when women, particularly black women at that, but that's a conversation for another day, use the word queer rather than using a more salient term. So when we're talking about bisexuality, we're not talking about bisexuality. We're talking about straight or lesbian. And she used the word queer to describe herself. And I said, "Oh, I know y'all mad." And somebody with the double Venus, the double Venus lesbian symbol in their username, quote tweeted it to embarrass me to their followers and was like, "You lesbophobic bitch, blah blah blah." And then I messaged them back and I was like, "What are you talking about?" Like, I explained what was going on and the fact that like there were several people that were saying, "Stop calling Angela Davis queer, she's a lesbian." And I was explaining that that was directed at them. I'm not lesbophobic. And then all of a sudden this person deleted the person deleted their quote tweet, but still like had some tweets that were like disparaging me, and then DM me individually to be like, "Hey, I'm sorry, I came at you like that." And I'm like, "Okay, it's cool that you're sorry, but you're still disparaging me to your followers." And they were like, "Yeah, the optics, I can't really like retract what I said because like, I mean, I got a lot of likes on that." That's when I realized you bitches are not serious. You know what I mean? Like, anyways. So when I heard they were talking about Tyler the Creator, I'm not taking them seriously because if it boils down to the same criticism that people have been giving K Tronada or Little Nas X, I kind of don't give a shit because what this manifests as usually is a criticism against like blackness, but primarily black male identity, black queer male identity at that, that doesn't fit hegemonic black manhood, right? And I hate that shit. They were attacking K Tronada for having a white partner to the point that he had to delete his account because the harassment got so bad. And it's like, I don't know how many times we have to say this stuff. Just because and I'm saying this to the Vic of the past, because the Vic of the past would have never seen themselves being engaged to a white person. Are you fucking kidding me? But like, just because you can't see yourself with a white partner does not mean that this black person isn't secure in their racial identity enough to do it. And them being with a white person does not immediately negate their blackness or negate their pro-black stance. And so that's just very upsetting. It also does not make them racially colorblind. I've had this misconception a lot in my relationship where people just assume, "Oh, I just don't see color because I date people of multiple races." That is not true at all. Me and my fiance have several, we have to, out of survival. And also, because this is my life partner, I need you to understand where I'm coming from. Duh. Like, we have a lot of conversations about race, very blatant, some conversations that some people may find surprising, because why am I going to pussyfoot with the person that I lay my head next to all the time? Maybe that works for you if you're operating out of fetishes. Oh my God, these words are beating my ass today. Maybe this works for you if you fetishize your partner, if you're operating from that stance. But I don't do that. I'm not with my partner because of their skin color. I'm with my partner because of, blah, 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 history, blah, 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 like, So, all of that being said, I do not take a lot of people seriously when they criticize black people, black artists, black public figures on black Twitter, because a lot of it just boils down to, you like pink dick. You be fucking somebody that, has ties to slave owners. Couldn't be me. It's like, all right, bro. If I make another comment, they will stone me to death, so I'm not going to say anything. But me and my best friend, we have thoughts, and I won't talk about them because that's not what this is about. This is about Tyler the Creator. But when it comes to Tyler the Creator, when somebody was like, when I saw that they were talking about him, I knew exactly what was going on, and so I ignored it. And then my friend messaged me and they were like, "They talk about your boy on Black Twitter." I know. I'm fully aware. And y'all don't see it, but I have a big Tyler the Creator poster right over like the camera. I love Tyler the Creator. I really do. I really do. Um the reason is I see myself in him, and the music's good, which is another point I'm going to get back to cuz people keep calling him the male Doja Cat. I have thoughts. But anyway, I love Tyler the Creator because I too am a bisexual, homophobic black person that is way too pretentious about my art and my content creation to the point that it has alienated me from mainstream black culture. The reason they're getting on Tyler the Creator is actually pretty sad. It's because D'Angelo died, the artist, rest his soul. And very unexpectedly. And Tyler, the Creator, was talking about he did a tribute on social media, basically talking about how much D'Angelo, his presence, his music, his diction, how it affected Tyler's creative process, and a lot of hit like how D'Angelo and his whole aura, his whole style, his fashion really inspired a lot of Tyler the Creator's artistry. And a lot of white people and a lot of younger people that did not know who D'Angelo was, which is so sad. It's so I said this on the last podcast, but it is so sad to think about how segregated we are as a populace, because what do you mean there are people that don't know that D'Angelo exists? I get for us by us, but my God, lady, brown sugar, I like so many fucking D'Angelos. How does it feel? Like, come on, dude. How can you even claim to be like a music curator or like a connoisseur of music in any sort of way and not know who the fuck D'Angelo is? You know what I mean? Or even a pop culture person. It's really sad. And he was basically talking about how much it impacted his artistry, and his whiter and younger fans were basically responding, being like, just put the fries in the bag, bro. No one cares. It's not that deep. I don't know how we've gotten to such a point of apathy in our culture that someone's unexpected death um, is considered not that deep. With like that's crazy in general, regardless of whoever the person is. But D'Angelo specifically is that deep because if you know Tyler the Creator, if you have seen his music, seen his motifs, kind of been following, like I said, he's very pretentious. So he's constantly talking about certain things. And, it's just like you can see the influence from a lot of these like early 90s musicians and stuff like that. And I can definitely see D'Angelo when I'm thinking about his last album, Tyler the Creator's last album. Why can I not think of the name? Don't Tap the Glass. Specifically the imagery of him shirtless and a lot of the like conversations that are occurring around his art, like just get up and dance, being sexy, eating women out, not giving a fuck, all that kind of stuff. That's so 90s R&B. Just dancing, not giving a fuck, probably snorting disco dust, you know what I mean? That's very very 90s. It's not something that you see a lot of right now because people are more obsessed with like instant gratification. Oh, I don't want to dance because, people might be filming me, things like that. Like it's a very 90s album to me. Maybe I'm wrong. That's my interpretation. But basically he was saying how it really impacted him, and a bunch of people were saying it's not that deep, and he fired back and he was like, bro, I hate y'all. I hate y'all. I hate my white fans. I hate y'all that can't process this artistry in the way that it needs to be processed, all this kind of stuff. Y'all aren't real, all this kind of stuff. Lashing out. And older people on Black Twitter were quick to say, Tyler, you made your bed. We peeped the rebrand, but you need to remember where the fuck you come from. And this is where I realize I'm a little more chronically online. Okay, I won't say chronically online because I don't think I'm chronically online. I really don't. I think I'm online a lot, but I don't think I just don't think of that when I think of myself. I think I'm just really plugged into pop culture, but a specific aspect of pop culture. I have a friend that is younger than me, not that much younger, like 4 years, and the way she be talking about pop culture, I know I'm not that like I'm not plugged into her specific part of pop culture, but when it comes to music and when it comes to like OG YouTubers and stuff like that, primarily like zillennial kind of stuff, I'm plugged in. I was not an Odd Future fan. I liked the TV show that they had. Um, oh my god, why can't I remember it right now? Please don't scream at me. Please don't scream at me. It's right on the tip of my tongue. What was that show? Loiter Squad, that's it. I loved Loiter Squad shorts and like I liked the clips of Tyler the Creator I would see online, but I didn't used to be a fan of Tyler the Creator, not because he wasn't like artistically talented. It's because his presence was so disgusting. He would say horrible things on Twitter. They were often racist, misogynistic, all the isms. I think there's one album that he has. I want to say it's Goblin. I might be wrong, but he says the F slur that you usually use towards gay men 300 times. I remember that statistic specifically because I was on such a pro LGBT side of like Tumblr and Twitter at the time that this statistic kept coming up. You said the F slur in your album 300 times. So nothing that comes out, any of his like tweets or anything, and he stands Kanye, you know, not anymore, but he used to. Um, Nothing surprises me because I was there. I was there when the ancient texts were written. So I can't, like, this is so hard to talk about because I think for me, I maintain my um being a fan of Tyler the Creator because I can tell he is actively changing and he does not hold those beliefs anymore. A lot of people put the shift at Scumfuck Flower Boy. Everyone says, "Oh, Flower Boy, Flower Boy." That's not the name of the album. The full name of the album is Scumfuck Flower Boy. People just call it Flower Boy because, you know, FCC like, but it's not Flower Boy. It's Scumfuck Flower Boy. I think that album was the rebrand in a lot of people's minds, and that's also the point where a lot of his fans realize, oh, he's not kidding about this gay shit. He actually is gay. But I think like so I guess that was the marker for me as well. But I think also just I never took it seriously because I was an edgy black kid with internalized homophobia as well. And there are I'm sure you can find some old tweets or some old Tumblr posts that I made that would knock your fucking socks off because I was operating out of not only um misanthropic sentiment but also self-hatred. I hated the fact I didn't hate that I was black. I've never been that person that's like I wish I wasn't black. But I definitely hated racism. And I hated anti-blackness and I hated the fact that it felt like I couldn't be myself in my body. The same ex that I was talking about in the Taylor Swift section that had pictures of Taylor Swift, but not me, that same ex would never listen to black music ever. And so dating that person was so difficult because when I'm around them, we're only listening to white music, primarily metal and rock and roll, not black rock and roll, specifically like white rock and roll. And then when I'm home, I'm only hearing like neo soul and R&B. And so I it created this weird spot because I could tell that my partner at the time who is black, I could tell that they were kind of going through some like low racial self-esteem, and I can't say that that didn't affect me at all. There's never been a point in my life that I didn't want to be black though. You know how some black children will draw themselves as white, or they'll be like, I wish my hair didn't feel this way, or like I wish I looked this way, or I wish I could pull this off. I've never felt that way. I've always known what I am. But I think that when you're exposed to white adjacent spaces and the amount of anti-blackness that comes with being in spaces with so many white people or so many racist people or so many self-hating people, you do learn how to be the court jester. And I think that's what Tyler the Creator was doing for a while, is that he was like, you guys see me as this large dark-skinned black man that's violent and scary. I'm going to fulfill all of your dreams and be that in a like tongue-in-cheek satirical kind of way, because actually dealing with the feelings that I have is a lot more difficult than doing that. It's much easier to be the class clown, to be the joke, than it is to genuinely sit down and be like, these are the feelings that I'm having, especially when you're queer. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying that to defend Tyler the Creator. I'm saying it more so to talk about the fact that like this is not, at least for me, and I know so many people like this. Maybe it's because I grew up closeted. I knew a lot of closeted people, and I knew a lot of black closeted people that were adjacent to whiteness that had to deal with the self-hatred and deal with either I'm going to be super pro-black despite it, or I'm going to become this satirical, like court jester, you know, you want a monkey, I'm gonna be a monkey type of person. So, all of that being said, I think it's difficult because a lot of people operate off of this assumption that you need to like I I think I've said this before, maybe I haven't, but like I don't really like a ton of apologies. I don't know how to say this. I think that a lot of people, particularly white people that treat passivity and polite society like it's their god, I think that they grew up on the notion of I can be evil as fuck and then just say sorry and everything is fine. And because of that, apologizing does not do a lot for me. I don't give a fuck that you're sorry. It takes me time to process the situation and get to a point of reconciliation on my end. Because what does you being sorry for what you did to me do for me? You know, even if you have changed behavior, it doesn't really matter if the impact was there. So I can't really say, like, I know for a lot of people, they're just kind of waiting for Tyler to have that moment to say sorry for everything that he did. I've never waited for that for any celebrity, primarily because I don't know these people. Everything that I'm talking about in relation to them is completely parasocial, and it's operating off of the persona that they want me to see or that has been revealed in more nefarious ways. So I've never felt like these people owe me an apology. Even when I was talking about Lizzo, the other episode, even when I'm talking about Taylor Swift from this episode, that like, I don't know, it's just it'll make some people feel satiated, but it's like you still did that, so it doesn't really matter. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. But all of that being said, I don't think I'm not waiting for anything for Tyler. I don't want him to apologize. It's weird to say out loud because the stuff that he has done, has said, has been heinous, but it's just like I I see so much of myself in that. It's like I know people hate I know people hate it when people say, "Oh, it was a different time." I won't say that it was a different time, but I think mentally Tyler never saw himself getting to this moment. He talks a lot in his interviews about how he always knew that he was going to get here. He always knew he was going to be this big deal, and I don't think he ever imagined dropping a random surprise album and selling 300K in like 1 week. I don't think he ever saw himself being in conversations with the likes of like Kendrick Lamar. I don't ever think that he saw himself featuring on a Clips album or Clips featuring in his shit on his the video for Stop Playing With Me. I don't think he ever saw himself genuinely meeting his idols or being this mainstream or having to talk about his paranoia publicly or any of this stuff. I don't think he ever saw any of this. So for him, he was always the joke. He was always representative of this deep underbelly of black kids that are weird and strange and like not in a way that's like, oh, I'm too black for the white kids and I'm too white for the black. Like, no, I don't think he ever saw that. I think he thought he was going to stay in that bubble of weird little alt kids that are in on the joke, because that's the way that he does a lot of his stuff, is that, oh, the humor of it all, the humor of just spamming slurs or wearing a KKK hood or talking about rape or talking about all the insidious things about society, is that all of us are in on the joke. The problem is it breaches containment. And my friend was talking to me about this, and she was like, my thing is that I think you can see real regret if he deleted the tweets. And I kind of get that. I mean, he's deleting them now because it's becoming a PR nightmare. But like for me, I don't know. I just woke up one day and I was like, oh, this sucks. And I deleted everything that I could. But I guarantee you that metadata exists out there of me saying less than savory things. Now, you're not going to find me in a KKK hood. You're not going to find any crazy shit like that. But there's definitely things that I said when I was younger that were misguided, that were manifesting from self-hatred, hatred for others, frustration with my positionality in the world, that I think I don't know. I just see so much of myself in the evolution, not only of Tyler the Creator's persona, but also his music. So getting back to that, part of the reason that I maintain being a fan of Tyler the Creator, despite the fact that he's still that same nasty nigga that ate that roach and threw up in that video years ago, even the fact that I got trampled at his concert. Oh my gosh, I'm looking up at the poster right now because he headlined Afropunk Atlanta like nearly 10 years ago, and I got trampled at that concert. It was horrifying. And, you know, me and my friend had to get fished out of the crowd by medics. Um, the reason I maintain my fan status is because the music is also very good. And that's where I get back to Doja Cat. People keep saying, oh, he's the male Doja Cat. No, the fuck he's not. No, the fuck he's not. I was a fan of Doja Cat since 2014. Doja Cat used to be on. Remember when I talked about Lizzo and I was talking about how Lizzo used to uh, be a queer little weirdo and like make music with people that I listened to, like that posted their music on like SoundCloud and like playlist.com and shit like that. Like that's Doja Cat. That's how she used to be. She blew up over that Moo video, and then she started making the hot pink thing and Planet Her, and good for her, you know. I like the beat, but it's breach containment is my thing. Doja, I oh my gosh, this is so hard to talk about, but like the quality of music we have to acknowledge from Doja Cat has gone downhill very suddenly. And beyond that, Doja Cat doesn't like Tyler the Creator doesn't like being famous either, but Doja Cat really doesn't like being famous. Tyler the Creator, from what I understand, doesn't like the fact that people will stalk him, paparazzi show up everywhere, people try to be in his business, but he likes being famous. He likes the money. He likes the cars. He likes the notoriety. He likes the fact that the crowd is screaming his name and all this kind of stuff. And he likes seeing his fans, even though he's talking about, oh, I hate y'all, blah, blah, blah. He's upset about the D'Angelo thing. This is temporary. He likes being famous. Doja Cat does not want to be famous. Doja Cat wants to be a queer little weirdo on the internet again and show feet in those racial chat rooms. These are not the same. And much more importantly, Doja Cat is biracial. She is having the whole tragic mulatto thing going on. I just don't think they're comparable. I get where people are coming from, but like I've been a fan of them both, and you will not see me anywhere near a Doja Cat concert. Sorry. The girl can sing. The girl can produce too. Two things that, well, Tyler can't sing, but Tyler can, rap and, produce. You know what I'm talking about. He can perform. He sings, like, I don't know how to talk about this. Like he can carry a tune, but he's not a singer. I guess Doja Cat's not really a singer either. Whatever the fuck she be doing, she's okay with. She's okay with it. She knows how to carry a tune. You know what I mean? But it's not hitting. I don't know. It's just like Doja Cat so deeply wants to be white. it feels like. When she wore that Sam Hyde shirt, that confirmed it for me. I'm not trying to be rude because I'm not one of those people that's like biracial people are not black. I'm not one of those people at all. But a lot of the times when Doja Cat talks about race or racial identity or anything, she is incidentally adjacent to African American culture. She is incidentally black and she benefits very deeply from her association with blackness. Tyler the Creator just is a nigga and always has been. Even in the Loiter Squad days, even in the Odd Future days, even when he was doing all this crazy shock horror, shock value, oh my God, why'd you do that? Gross out humor stuff. He's never been anything but a nigga, and he's never claimed to be anything but, you know? I can see that. I see that in his art. I feel it. On Chromacopia, the song I Killed You, he's doing something. Doja Cat doesn't have that. Doja Cat makes very like I don't know. And Tyler the Creator also doesn't insult his previous works. He'll talk about, man, I really don't like that song, but I did what I could with it and I stand by it and blah blah blah. But like he doesn't actively say, yeah, that was just a cash grab. Y'all are fucking stupid for buying that. I just don't see the comparison. I don't. I don't have any physical media from Doja Cat. I don't keep up with shit that Doja Cat does. Um, After she said the thing about Hot Pink and Planet Her, I was like, oh, okay. Well, I don't give a fuck. Like, she is mega corny to me. She is mega corny to me in a way that Tyler the Creator just isn't. I think and that's the other thing is like people keep saying, "Oh, they're canceling Tyler the Creator." He's gonna be fine. They are not canceling Tyler the Creator. It's Twitter. You know what I mean? The people who the main people who are saying shit about that's why I never got into Tyler the Creator. They never were going to get into Tyler the Creator. They never were going to give it a chance because Tyler the Creator, despite his mainstream success, is a queer little weirdo and has always made music for alternative people. He is just now making more music for alternative niggas. Even though they've always been around, he's more curating his black audience than he was before. But it never gave Tyler the Creator like when was it Drake who got booed off the Flog Gnaw stage? Was that Flog Gnaw? Yes. Okay. Yes, 2019. So uh Tyler the Creator has a yearly music festival called Flog my gosh, I'm so sorry y'all. A yearly music festival called Flog Gnaw, which backwards is Wolfgang. Yeah? Yeah. Sorry, gotta fact check everything. No, Wang Golf backwards, right? Wang Golf. I don't fucking know. It doesn't matter. Anyway, Flog Gnaw. I don't know why I said Wolfgang. Why did I say that? Anyways. He had a special guest that was supposed to come out. And it was rumored that it was going to be Frank Ocean. So a lot of people bought the tickets and they were excited under the impression that Frank Ocean was going to be the special guest. Because who do you associate? Well, not now, because it seemingly they've fallen out. If social media is any indication, Frank Ocean and Tyler the Creator have fallen out, but like we don't know what's going on. When you think of Tyler the Creator, at least prior to 2025, you think of Earl Sweatshirt, you think of Frank Ocean. You do not think of Drake. It never gave Drake. He might be putting Drake numbers up there or starting to, but Tyler the Creator, the music he makes never gave Drake. The Venn diagram between Drake fans and Tyler the Creator fans are two circles that are in completely different continents. And I don't mean that to say that people who listen to Tyler the Creator never listen to Drake, but people who listen to Tyler the Creator enough to go to Flog Gnaw are not going to Drake concerts. They might listen to Drake like passively. They might listen to Drake if their AirPods die at the gym, but they're not going out of their way to financially support Drake. So when he came out on the Flog Gnaw stage, he was booed by everybody there to the point that he couldn't even get through his set because so many people were so fucking upset that it wasn't Frank Ocean. So anyway, Tyler the Creator has always had the same audience. Just now it's becoming a little more black and a little more cool, I would say, because I think that a lot of people are like me and they resonate with his change. They were queer, offensive, little self-hating weirdos back in 20 whatever the fuck. And now in 2025, they're just not. Not because they had a public platform to fall from or criticism from, you know, hundreds of thousands of people or people that can keep you updated on a, you know, second basis via like Twitter or something else instantaneous, but more so because the passage of time just occurred and they started to realize, hey, I don't have to be this hateful or strange or misanthropic. I can just be normal. I can still be alternative and not be a piece of shit. You know what I mean? And I think the only difference between people like me and people like Tyler the Creator, other than the fact that I do not have a video of myself or a picture of myself online wearing a KKK hood, is that I am not a public figure in the way that Tyler the Creator is. I couldn't imagine having these kind of like racial reckonings or like personal like reflections with such a public audience. So I don't think Doja Cat is ever going to have that because I don't think she wants to have that. If she ever remedies her like her public persona, I will not be there to be like woo woo because the music quality has fallen and she is deeply unrelatable and it never gave that she liked her fans. She is just she's a 4chan incel in the body of a really, really hot girl. She never gave glamour. She never gave mainstream star. She just can carry a tune, and that's okay, and rap on a beat. A lot of people can do that. I don't know. So yeah, I think the big thing with Tyler the Creator is that his nonsense has breached containment. He will be fine. I will be fine. I just ordered my Chromacopia vinyl because it just got back in stock and I am over the moon and no one's going to take that from me. And when he starts selling new copies of Don't Top the Glass, I will also be buying that and I will be buying his next album and the album after that and the album. Now, if this ages poorly, it just ages poorly. It's okay, you know? Yeah, those are my thoughts. Just like the last segment, disagree if you want. I really did not anticipate having that much to say about Tyler the Creator or Taylor Swift, but this is my longest episode yet, and it's clocking in right over 2 hours, which is crazy. If you're still here, thank you so much for listening to everything that I had to say. If I helped you do some chores, wash some dishes, if I body doubled with you, I felt you. I felt your presence. I was here. Joking. Please. I don't want to make anybody paranoid. But anyway, I thank you guys for listening. As always, I'm hoping to keep up with the bi-weekly thing. I'm telling you, after I ranted about Taylor Swift before, my head was throbbing. I was like, I literally can't look at this camera anymore today. And then I just never sat back down. So I feel really bad about it, but I hope that the extra long runtime today makes up for it. And if not, well, there's always next episode. But thank you so much for listening to Vicsplaining. I love you guys so much. And yeah, you guys have a great day or night or evening or whatever the fuck's going on where you're at. Bye.